Hi, my name's Carla, and this is my very first Floss Tube video. Kind of nervous, but I figure you guys will fix that right up. So, I put a picture of my ugly brother right next to the camera so I could kind of think like I'm talking to him. That might not be a good idea because, yeah, our conversations go south real easy. So, you can see we're in Nerd Central Command, and behind me, the shelves and stuff normally have all my whips and everything on it, but I had to pile them right here so that I could show you guys really quick. I know a lot of the Floss Tube videos I've been watching are wonderfully lengthy. I mean, you have stories and you have your projects, your whips, what you're doing, what you want to do, and your wonderful hauls, which, you know, me being a serious enabler, I have no problem watching you show off what you have so I could scream, ah, that's so great. So, instead of doing a bunch of shopping this year, which, you know, can't be helped, you have to do it once you go to 123 or Picture This Plus or, you know, places like that. Shopping happens and you can't really help yourself. I guess I should start off letting you know I live in Juneau, Alaska, and the closest thing to an LNS that I have here is Joannes Fabrics. I do love going there. I can spend all day just wandering around talking to people because it seems like all the women that I know here in Juneau, which is pretty much, oh gosh, a lot. It's just a lot. We all end up there on a Saturday afternoon, and I'm so breathless, gosh. Anyway, yeah, so we end up there and we end up talking, and that's probably why it takes, I don't know, hours to go through everything, because what if you miss that one bolt of fabric? Oh my God, life would be over if you did that. Oh. Sorry about that. I just reminded myself of something that I was going to share with you, because I haven't started it yet, but I have been pondering it for a year now. Anyway, I really forgot my point. Isn't that swell? So, yeah, oh, I live in Juneau, Alaska. We all go to Joanne's, blah, blah, blah. Let's see. Oh, so last year I went to Albuquerque, New Mexico, which is where I'm from originally, to go to a family reunion in Bosque Farms. And I had been reading some blogs about, you know, how some stitchers or quilters, they end up going to, you know, the shops, wherever they're traveling, they'll just stop in at a local shop or what have you. And you know, they'll end up leaving there with half the store. I've never done that, and you know, I was traveling back and forth to Salt Lake City, and where else was I going? Oh, I went to Chicago, drove down through Kentucky, Indiana, the Carolinas, Virginia. I did that a couple years ago, and it never once occurred to me that I should find any stores along the way so that I could help them and help my stash. I mean, really, I mean, could you blame me? I mean, yeah. But that really wasn't what was on my mind. I was going down to see my son, and we ended up driving all over the place. And then I went and saw my cousin, and anyway, so I have family all over the place. So I didn't do it then, and I didn't do it in Salt Lake City, which makes me sad, because that's where 123 is, and I'm pretty confident that we all know what that is. And if I could go there, I will, because when I do go down to Salt Lake next time, I am going to go there just to thank them for just being so awesome. I mean, those guys, super awesome. Their customer service is beyond golden, totally. I could not wish for anything better. So, let's see. So I kind of introduced myself. Old woman. Yes. Okay, so I guess I'll just get on with my current pile of stuff. And since I have this right here in my hands and I can't seem to let it go, a year ago, one of my co-workers, his name's Joe, he said, because we were talking one day, he says he was going to go deer hunting, and my daughter is a huge fan of venison, and I have to admit that, you know, a super lean meat like that is definitely awesome. And he said, you know what, I'll give you guys some of that venison, and I was all down for that. So I was like, oh yeah, sure, yeah, Well, it turned out he actually did it, and I said, well, what do you want in return? Do you want me to pay you for it? Or he said, no, don't worry about it. And I said, well, I'll make you a quilt. I mean, you keep bringing me venison, you're going to get a quilt out of it. So he got excited about that. Well, I then went home because, you know, it's always exciting to go through your fabric stash. And at the time, I had a gigantic fabric stash full of odds and ends, but nothing that would suffice to make, you know, a queen-size quilt for Joe's bed. And and he's very interested in taking his relationship to the next level with his girlfriend. So who knows? This could end up being a wedding quilt. You never know. I mean, do you ever know? No, you never know. Alright, so the reason it has taken so long for me to even get to this point where I have the fabric is I had fabric, and I really like this fabric right here. And this is, what's it called? It is called Remember Me by Jill Kemp for the Red Rooster Fabrics design number 15287. The reason I tell you this is, if you know anybody who has more of this, oh gosh, you need to tell me about it right now, please. I would be so grateful, because I really want to make a quilt with that. But I started out with this fabric, and I had another fabric, some greens, and some weird peachy colors that seem to go with this for some reason. But started out with those, and one of my girlfriends gave me a website of free quilt patterns, and I found one I liked there. And then I kept going through like Civil War patterns, stuff like that. Came up with another one. Finally cut some fabric so I can make one of those practice squares, because you have to do that to see how hard it's going to be. And I did it, and it came out badly, because I need to tell you, if you don't read my blog, which is alaskawolfpack.blogspot.com, say that 3 times really fast, then you don't know about my Singer sewing machine, which is possessed by the devil. And yeah, it's covered up right now, but I know it can hear me. It's getting ready to ruin my quilt. Anyway, so I made that practice quilt square, and decided right then and there that that pattern that I had chosen, although very pretty, is super hard to make, and I honestly didn't want to go through that much hassle to make a quilt. Even though venison was kind of worth that work. It just would have ended up taking years for me to do, because, you know, when stuff gets hard, you gotta put it down and walk away, and then years later you kind of come back to it and you don't want to do it anymore. So I didn't want that. So I went back to my always trusty Melissa Ray Hawley. I have her books, yes, because I love her. She's the one who actually taught me how to quilt, and I still love her today. So I'm going to end up making a, what am I making? The Strait of Georgia. Let's see if I can get that up in here. Ta-da! I'm going to make that. And here are the fabrics that I have chosen. So you saw those squares. So instead of doing a bunch of different colors, I have the contrasting light and dark. These right here, you can see those. And then for my background color, I have this fern type thing. It's really kind of pretty. And then for the borders, I'm not sure if I'm entirely happy with this fabric. It just feels kind of, I don't know, it feels funky. But I got this, and it, you know, it kind of goes, you know, it's kind of the theme of the thing. Like every time he lays on the quilt, he'll go, oh, I should drop a venison roast off at Carla's house, so I don't know, maybe her daughter will make me some stew, or no, you have a quilt. No. Yeah, you can have some stew. It'll be cool. Bring your SO with you and we can all have stew and some soda bread. So that's the quilt, but mostly what I do, oh wait, I should tell you why I started quilting in the first place. Now, my maternal grandma, she's a big quilter. She used to teach quilting at her church, and she had a craft room that, when I was a little kid, I was small enough to where you could like get one person to kind of push the door just a bit, and I could squeeze in the crack. But once that got too hard to do, because she had a lot of stuff in there, she was a hoarder, I could actually go in through my grandparents' bedroom, through the closet, because it was kind of like open on both sides. I could go in there and climb over the big heap of piles, and I forgot my point on that. But anyway, she used to quilt, and my paternal grandmother, she quilted. She actually still quilts. She's 94 years old, and she quilts. Beautiful quilts. And yeah. Anyway, so the reason I learned how to quilt was because I'm not good at geometry. I don't get it. And I'm sure there's people out there like me who just don't get it. No, there's some math right there that just doesn't make sense to me. So with quilting, it takes me a while to figure out the shapes and how they're supposed to fit together, and you know, how to cut them right and everything. But once I do, once it clicks, yay. And you know, I'm not a stupid person, but geometry, no. So that's why I started to quilt, and I really enjoy it. It's actually fun. I just haven't really done much about it in a while. I did make the friendship quilt with Wendy Bertello on Sugar Lane Designs. She's the one who did this free pattern where you combine the embroidery with the quilting for a little wall hanging, and I absolutely loved it. I made that one, and everyone liked that one so much. They're always telling me, you need to give that to me, especially one of my good friends, Cindy. She's always telling me, "So, when are you going to give this to me?" I'm not, ever. But we just happened to be in Joannes, because that's what we do. And she found this fabric, and she says, "I don't know why, but that fabric makes me happy." So I said, oh, well, I guess I better have it then. And then I chose this. Oh, how funny. This is actually Joannes Fabrics. I chose this for a nice binder for the outside. Okay, so I got all this stuff together to make another friendship quilt. Let's see if I can show you the... And you can find these on Craftsy. If you go to Sugar Lane Designs on Craftsy. And Wendy is like the most awesome person. She has a BOF quilting group on Facebook, but she also blogs, so if you want to find her there, you totally can. So we got the quilting out of the way. And, you know, quilting, I love it, but it's nothing compared to my cross stitch, my lovely cross stitch. Oh, and I do crochet and knitting too, but whatever. Anywho, so in no particular order. Oh, well, let me start with what I'm working on right now. I'm currently doing, I promised 8 squares to Rainbows for Peace and Love. So I have a 1. And here is Juan Velasquez. And who is this? Enrique Rios Jr. And they were victims from the Orlando Pulse shooting during Gay Pride Week last year. And I'm participating in that group to help make squares for the quilts that are going out to the families of the victims, other victims that were there that survived, and the first responders. And then I'm working on this one right now. I threw some Krennic in there, or Krennic. I don't know how you say it, but I say Krennic. You say Krennic, I say Krennic. And it is very fine number 4 braid, number 3240. It's kind of rainbowy, but you know, this is me we're talking about, and I can't do anything without glitter or bling, alright? And if it's not shiny enough, I will add some dang beads. So, there's that. Okay, so that's what I'm currently working on. And, so for whips, I've had this for a while, but this is, it's all fuzzy. Why is it fuzzy? It's a bookmark. Wait, is that okay? Far enough away. It's Bookmarks of the month, and I believe this is. This is something. Let me look and see. I can't remember if this is. Yeah. Oh, here we go. Boop. There you go, and it is Flowers of the Month Bookmarks, and it's item number HD45571. So, there you have that. And, yeah, so I was doing one a month last year? Or was it the year before? I don't remember. Last year is being forgotten. It's being deleted. Bit by bit. So this is one whip. How do I do this without causing an avalanche? I also am started all of these with the exception of where is she? 1, 2, well, there are 4 whips that were started a while back, but most of these were started last year. But I've got Unseen Things by Lizzie Kate. That's all you get to see is like whoosh, you know, and the point is to be unseen. So there's that. And then I have, oh, needle. Okay, there we go. I have the Stitching Pirates ship because I am a member and one of the judges for the Stitching Pirates on DeviantArt website. So if you aren't on DeviantArt, please go there. There is a huge cross-stitching community there. And, or at least just think about it. Membership is free. If you don't do the core membership, you will have ads, but for the most part, it is a really amazing website full of art. So if you like art, that's definitely a place to go. So that, put this here. I also have, Design Works. This is actually a Joan Elliott, more needle, a Joan Elliott design with Design Works. It's, I can't even speak. And they go together. So I'm using this really pretty, sparkly, I can't even remember where I got this fabric. Where did I get? Oh, this was Picture This Plus. And I think this one is, I can't remember the name of the fabric. It was a long time ago when I got it, but I've decided to alter this pattern just a little bit. Instead of putting red and white stitches, I'm going to put beads, and because the fabric is so pretty, the middle of the knotwork is going to be open instead of stitched with the blue. So look forward to those changes. And then I'm doing the whole series of, here we go, Country Cottage Needleworks, the Frosty Forest series. And this is the next one up. I did one already. That one's in my living room. I should have brought that in here. I could show you, but not today. It's not going to do it. Then, let's see, this goes with here, and this goes with here. And then, I'm doing a stitch along, which I haven't worked on in a while. You're supposed to do 1 page a month, and this is with unconventional cross stitch. This is the Fire and Ember stitch along, and that's where I'm at right now. I am on A2 according to the grid. The grid says A2. And then, okay, this one is stupid, and you guys might agree with me, I don't know. But I love Jim Shore. I have some of his figurines or sculptures, statues, whatever you want to call them. I don't know. And then when I found out, you know, oh my gosh, Jim Shore and Mill Hill Beads got together to create really cool stuff like this. So I got the sheep because I love sheep, because, you know, if you are a farm person like myself, farm girl, sheep are just sheep and they're super cute. Anyway, so I stitched it, but here's my problem. This one is done on, why is that stuck? It's done on perforated paper, and I don't know if I'm just blind or because it's totally see-through. I mean, look at that. You can see through. I can't stitch on this very well. I really have a problem with it. So I had gotten about halfway done with it when I started stitching it, and turns out it was off all over the place because I can't do it. So I ordered more perforated paper from 123 and cut it to size, and I have it here so I can tackle it again, and I jealously watch my friends stitch on this stuff all the dang time, and it just drives me crazy that I can't seem to do it very well. It's probably geometry. I don't know. But on a positive note, I'm going to try and do it again. And I have plenty of that blue paper for the project. I have another one by Jim Shore. And this is it right here. And it is Ace. And this one has, oh, it's kind of shiny. The sun's coming up. It's like, what time is it? It is, oh, it's 10:07. I'm in Alaska, okay? 10:07 and the sun is up. It just hasn't quite gotten up over the shed outside, but anyway. So, Ace, which is super beady. I like it. Look at all the beads they give you. I mean, I am not going to use that many on this piece right here. I'm just not. Oh, and if you join the Stitching Pirates cross-stitch group and you win on one of the contests, you'll get this handy-dandy needle minder. Also made by Jody at Unconventional Cross Stitch. I sound like a commercial, but I'm sure you guys want to know. But the Jim Shore kits, that's on 18 count. Oh, I was like, why is that so small? Anyway, it's 18 count. So, yeah, there's that. Blah, blah, blah. I forgot what I was saying. Oh, yeah. So you can get that there. And, okay, so next up I have, okay, this is Merida, and this is Mucha Princess from the Mucha Princess collection. The original artist is Hannah Alexander, and the patterns are can be found on Etsy. They're made by Pinky the Pink, aka Ashley May. She has an entire series of the Disney Mucha Princesses, and I really recommend you check those out. So cool. And Hannah Alexander has an Etsy store as well. So if you want that coffee cup, or to drink tea out of, or whatever you drink, hot cocoa, while you stitch your Mucha Princess, that would be super groovy. Okay, so next up, this whole thing is this. Okay, you might learn that I am a huge fan of Theresa Wenzler, and yes, I have heard the news about her retirement, and it makes me very sad. So, I have spent some time collecting patterns, and am so grateful that Patterns Online, she went through and corrected all those patterns and stuff. So, anywho, what is the one I was working on? Here's First Day of Christmas. You can see that. Somewhere I'm working on Second Day of Christmas, but obviously that is not in here. And that's on the recommended linen, according to Theresa herself. You'll stitch it on this linen and you'll hate it. Yeah. Not happy with having to stitch it. Oh, here it is. Yay. And this is why it's a whip, is because it's, I don't know, stitching it on the linen. But I don't know if you can see that, but there it is. Okay, so that's one of my Theresa Wenzlers. The other one is this huge thing. I had to special order these huge frame here. This is, and yes, it's all floppy because I'm not working on it. I don't want it getting all out of shape, but this is going to be English Cottage sampler. And, oh, funny story about the fabric. Where is the pattern at? Where the pattern at? English Cottage, wherever it's at. Anyway, English Cottage Sampler requires, or not, it doesn't require it. It's just, it said in the leaflet that the fabric used was this particular fabric. And when I told the girls about it, I have this group of girls that, you know, we're always chatting, but I'm sure everybody has their little clique, but yeah. One of them found a huge chunk of fabric that was this particular kind that I can't remember the name of right off the top of my head, but it's discontinued. And it turns out this swatch of fabric, this big, gosh, it must be, it's a yard. I believe it's a yard. It was something, it was huge. Big, giant piece of fabric, and it's linen. It was the last piece to be found on the planet, unless you have it in your stash. But the reason I liked English Cottage Sampler, the picture, was probably because of the fabric. So I wanted that fabric so I could, you know, do it just like the picture, because I really like the picture. And sometimes it's like that, you know. Normally I end up changing stuff, but with Theresa Wenzler I try and do it like she says to do it, because then it turns out the way that you see it in the picture and you're like, oh, yay. So, oh, here comes the sun. So, yeah, so I've got that one, and I should be getting to work on both of the Theresa Wenzlers this year, and later on maybe I will do a Floss Tube just on my Theresa Wenzler patterns and the ones I really want to do. Anyway, I'm getting on to like 32 minutes now, I'm sorry. It's funny, I didn't know they would go this long just chatting about stuff. My girlfriend Lenore and I try and do a Halloween sal every year, and we usually start about August 15th. We pick a pattern, or actually she's picked the pattern the last couple years. And then we get a bunch of people to stitch with us. You know, if you don't want to do our pattern, you do your own, it's fine. We'll all stitch together, it's okay. The last year she picked Wacky Witches and Stitches, and I gotta tell you, I have this thing against owls. So at any time that I could change an owl into something else, I'm going to do it. So in this particular case, I changed the owl into a raven because I live in Alaska and ravens are everywhere. So I thought that was pretty cool. I like ravens, they're awesome. So that one, this one needs to be done before I start this year's stitch along. And it's done on, sorry, I'm dropping things. Dense, or 28 count, dense fog, Jobelin, even weave. And this particular pattern is huge. So I ended up getting the 26 by 36 slab O fabric. So I keep that with that. And, oh, my oldest thing, I have two really old projects that I started in 2009. And for both of them, I don't know, it's a long story for these two projects, and I guess when I actually start working on them I'll tell you more about it. But this one is Cosmos. I've done 100 stitches, huzzah! And the other one is Celtic Goddess, and I don't know where that's at right now. I looked for it earlier. It is MIA. But the artist, or I should say the designer for Celtic Goddess, just recently emailed me and asked me if I still had the pattern. Her house got robbed and her computers were taken and she had nothing. So fortunately I was able to email that back to her so she could get that one back. And once that's up, I'll be able to put a link somewhere for you when I talk about that one more once I find it. But other than that, I have 2 secret projects I'm working on. I can't talk about those. We can't talk about those. What's rule number 1? We don't talk about those. I do have some commissions that I'm working on. I have 2 Big Mama Chicky bags because I have a brand. It's a Chicky bag, but I was recently diagnosed with osteoarthritis, and I couldn't figure out why it hurt to make my Chicky bags, and it's because of the way that I do it. And the last 3 things that I have to make that are Chicky bag-ish, it's going to take me a long time because I can only do a little bit at a time before everything starts screaming in pain. So, and it hinders my ability to cross stitch, and that's no good. So, I do have a secret crochet project that I would love to show you, but no, again, we don't talk about that. And what else do I have? Oh, I'm working on a tutorial on how to make a cube. Where is my cube? I'll have to show you the cube. Okay, anyway. So I'm working on this one, and this is so you can see. The pattern is a freebie from Magical525. You can find her on Blogger. She has her page there. I can't remember if this one is on Blogger or if it's on DeviantArt. It might be on both. But Magical is on both Blogger and DeviantArt, so you can go to both places. And if you want a link to that, I could potentially link that below for you. And you could see all of her fun, beautiful patterns. Oh my gosh. And they're free. I mean, free. And that way you can hoard patterns on your computer and not feel guilty at all because you didn't spend any money. So, gosh, I think that's all I have for today, and I'm sorry you clicked on this vlog. Is it called a vlog? It's called a vlog. Floss Tube. Yeah, now I'm really sorry you clicked on it. Run away. So, I'll try and do one a week or so. It depends on, you know, what I've got going on. Right now, my schedule's open. So, yeah, leave me a note if you have any questions. You know, you want to know about Alaska, you want to know where the heck that Celtic goddess went, you know, whatever. You just ask away, because obviously I have nothing to hide because I'm on YouTube. Yeah, so anyway, you all have a really good day and keep on stitching.